So I want to talk a little bit more about black mold because, as you said, you didn't actually know about it. Probably if people weren't catching, you can have black mold exposure, have absolutely no idea. There's not a scent. You just have symptoms of it. And then you later find out it's in the house or you have ways to detect it.
Right.
How did you ultimately figure out that that's what it was?
Well, in the summer of 2016, I felt so bad. I had to reduce my work hours. So at the time I was working 3.5 days a week. So I cut it to 3 days a week. And then I actually saw patients for a longer period of time, so I was seeing less people per week. Okay. So now I have a 4-day weekend, Friday all through Monday. And so I'm at home taking supplements, working out, not knowing what the heck was going on. And through the summer, I was doing better and better. I remember in the fall, it was October, end of October, and I came to work on Tuesday morning, starting my work week Tuesday morning, and I had no chest pain for the first time in a long time, and probably a year. And I was very happy about that. But by 1 o'clock, lunchtime, my chest pain was a 6 out of 10. I was like, okay, now I know it's absolutely 100%. It's in the office. And it's either one of two things. I either have bad wiring causing dirty electricity in the walls or something, or it's that little black patch where the paint had come off the wall and there's black exposure, right? Because the paint was hanging down. And I was like, that's black mold, right? So I took that sample, and around the corner was a lab. So I put in a little baggie, and I gave it to them, and it came back positive: Aspergillus, Stachybotrys, Penicillium. And, Aspergillus and Stachybotrys, those are both deadly. And I was like, okay, I'm onto something now. So I either have to move out or they're going to fix it. And I knew they weren't going to fix it, so I had to move out.
There were other people that were working in the office?
Yeah.
And were they experiencing any symptoms?
Yeah. And I realized it too. I was like, why are my staff not getting better? Like this is a health improvement center. It's called the Nutritional Healing Center. Why are they not getting better? And that was the reason why. And so here's what was happening. So the building was built in 1990, and it was prefab walls that they just stuck into the ground, like sort of like concrete pseudo brick, right? And sideways rain would drive right through it. The walls were porous. So when it was windy and rainy, the rain would come in and touch the drywall on the inside.
Wow.
So you couldn't see it because it was on the other side. But now my windows would rain on the inside, right? Like the windows it was raining inside. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming down from the top of the wall. And there's, and now this building was one of 4, and it was a total of 100,000 square feet. And when you walk by these windows of the other 4 buildings, of 3 buildings, you could see water stains everywhere. And what's funny is right now in this complex, there's a water mold remediation company, and they're in a moldy building, right? Anyways, I just think that's funny. So now, if you're wondering if you have mold in your house, you can do an ERMI test, ERMI, and you can also just buy. You can hire a professional; they'll test your air, and you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and you get like a petri dish or an air capture test for like, I don't know, $100 or whatever. Capture the mold and then send it to a lab. So, and then otherwise, you're looking with your own eyes. You're looking for black mold. Maybe you have to tear through some drywall. You're smelling it, especially if it's rainy or humid. You're looking in your vents and you're smelling, right? You're using your senses. So that's how you got to investigate. And let's not forget the other causes of like toxic buildings. So I already mentioned the gas leaks. You can buy a $25 pen-looking structure that you can turn on. It'll smell gas. You buy that off Amazon. But also bat guano. People have bats in their attic. That is a problem. And radon. So different parts of the country have high radon, including where I live. So when I moved into my house, by law, you have to test for radon, and it was normal. And but then I had my crawl space insulated. So now the air doesn't leave the crawl space. It just goes straight up. into the building, into the house. So radon, I tested radon this past spring, and sure enough, it was high. So I was living in radon for 5 years, and that can cause trouble. I had a patient, this year, and she would wake up every morning with really high blood pressure and just feeling really bad, chest pain. I put her on B1, the chest pain went away, and then she heard my story about the radon, because I put that on YouTube. And so her and her husband talked about it. They had a radon mitigation system in the house. It just wasn't plugged in. So he plugged it in, turned it on. The next morning she woke up, blood pressure normal. I think a lot of people with high blood pressure, yes, they have metabolic syndrome, but let's not forget about, it could be radon, it could be toxic mold, it could be histoplasmosis from bat guano in your attic.
Or just a combination.
Combination of all of it. Yeah, it's complex. This is it. Complex chronic illness. Heart disease is a complex chronic illness. It's not just LDL. It's not just ApoB or whatever. It's lipoprotein A. It's more than just the lipids. There's other factors. Yeah.
I think one of the biggest blind spots right now is how much the environment is impacting everything. I remember when for like a little while, people were doing, it was kind of a hotness for a while, is the glasses that you'd put on at night,
right,
to block out the blue light or something like that. And I don't want to be dismissive of it, but for some people it seemed to be very effective. But even as I was looking at that, I was like, I just have a feeling there are other environmental considerations that probably outrank it, that just aren't sexy and new and cool to talk about. 100%. Like you're talking. So gas leak's a great example. Naturally, the first thing I think of when I hear that is, oh, well, that's all right, because you can smell the gas, because they typically put the odor into it. But actually, what if it's a tiny gas leak?
Right.
If it's a tiny gas leak, I could see that not being something we would smell. Longer term exposure, so you got that AUC for a long enough time, that could be a problem for sure.
Yeah.
But you don't normally have a gas leak detector in a typical home.
So I told this to a patient. He goes, yeah, he does fence and installation and repair. He goes, I'm in people's backyards all the time. I smell gas all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you do? Like in order to just find these things, you've just got to be mindful to know to look.
Yeah, you got to be a detective.
So you would speculate that a decent component of chronic disease, maybe not entirely, but at least combinatorially, could be environmental exposures like you yourself have kind of endured.
Right.
And in 2 of your 3 cases, you didn't know for months.
Right.
Right. So for the black mold, it was what, 9 months, 10 months, something like that?
Right. Well, I was in the office for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
And I had my original heart symptom was 2009. And I moved in there, 2004 or whatever. So, yeah. But it just got worse and worse. And 2016 was my worst year.
Do you think that if you just literally moved into a different office, you might not have experienced that event?
Right. Yeah. And so, as a clinician, one way to learn fast is to get really, really sick and almost die several times. So, it speeds up your learning curve, right?
Right.
So, and people have told me, well, it must be God's plan, or, from pain to purpose. I'm like, shut up. Like, I could have just gone to a seminar, but no, I had to learn it for myself.
Well, that was the case with me and cholesterol. So here I am, my dad, my sister, all of us, we have just this wonderful 6-7 months of discovering keto, and we're all killing it. And they get their blood work first, and their cholesterol hardly moved. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're not part of that genetic milieu.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden mine skyrockets. And yeah, had I not experienced all of those benefits from keto, like if I'd got my blood work like right away, it's a pretty decent chance I wouldn't be on a keto diet right now, or definitely wouldn't be connected to all this research. But it's because of all the benefits, while having to face simultaneously this just gigantic leap in my cholesterol.
Right.
Became a massive motivator.
Right.
And really derailed me from everything I was doing to just focusing on that.
Right.
But it's been a regular theme in this podcast is a lot of people like yourself, they have to face the darkness, the deep darkness of just how bad things can get.
Right. So when the symptoms are persisting, for months and years, And then, I mean, thank God we have YouTube, and we can have, absolutely great information for free, basically. So can we start talking about MVX?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So